This meeting to order. This is the Barren County Fiscal Court for the 18th, 2022. Madam Clerk, call for the please.
Jeff Bond.
Here.
Rick Riddle.
Here.
Carl Dickerson.
Here.
Tim Taylor.
Here.
Mark Bowman.
Here.
Ken Sargent.
Here.
Billy Houchin.
Here.
Michael Hale.
Here. Thank you very much. Adoption of today's orders. First reading of the ordinance 665, which is budget amendment 2. And I think also, Master Bill, you had requested something for fire departments, but if you'll turn over your agenda, that is already listed under the ARPA committee, so I think that will be sufficient to talk about there. So anyway, I entertain a motion for today's orders.
I'll move. Second.
Motion by Watts, second by Bowman. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, today's invocation will give Master Tim Cooper.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today, Lord, first of all, thank you for many blessings, Lord. We want to lift up to you the people in our county and our state and our nation that's been affected by these recent storms and all different types of weather. Lord, we just lift up the leaders of this country. It's a difficult time we know in our country now. Just give them guidance and leadership to make best choices possible. Go with us today. Help us make right decisions that would be pleasing to you. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone today. Appreciate all the elected officials being here. Media, thank you for being here. Guests, thank you as well. Court, thank you. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of December the 21st, 2021.
So moved.
Bowman,
Second.
Major Houchins, any corrections, deletion, abstractions, additions? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Announcements, is there any announcements in your respective districts? Okay, we'll move on into reports. As you all should have received an email on the declaration of emergency that I signed January the 2nd, 2022. Questions about that? Also, I'd like to just give Susan, our transportation director, a shout out, her team for taking care of our roads, past 2 snow events. Greatly appreciate that. To give an update, I don't believe it's on here. Myself, Master Sargent, Susan, Mayor Hatcher, we met with Ms. Klein on Estes Road that we talked about in last meeting. Ms. Klein is in the process of giving us some documents from where there was originally a road, so we know exactly what we will be voting on to give to Cape City. So we're not ready yet to move forward with that because we just need to make sure our paperwork and our road is exactly where it needs to be. So, Master Sergeant, do you have anything you want to add to that?
We just discussed the south end of that, didn't we?
That's correct.
Let's get the whole thing.
That could be your motion, sir, when we get ready to do that. Okay, just want to give you an update on that. Okay, we'll move into Sheriff, the quarterly financial statement ending December 31st, 2021, subject to audit. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second by Coomer. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Final budget 2021, subject to audit.
Make a motion.
Mr. Dickerson,
Second.
Bowman, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. It's fee settlement 2021, subject to an audit.
Make that motion.
Coomer. Second. Mr. Houchins, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Emergency management, order of affiliation, rescue squad, 1-year renewal. Be a motion on the table to do that.
Motion.
Riddle.
Second.
Mr. Bowman, questions for our director? All in favor say, I'm sorry.
No, I just said, I'm sure nothing's changed on that.
No, so nothing's changed. What it was, Gary Chenoweth was our last applicant agent, and we needed that for the, you're talking about the applicant agent order of affiliation. Nothing's changed on it either. We just got to do that annually.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Applicant's agent, this is a 1-year appointment.
I'll make a comment on that too as well, that we normally do 4-year appointments. As I said earlier, Gary Chenoweth was our last one. Due to the fact of the declaration that we received from FEMA on the December 10/11 tornado, we're going to have an active applicant agent in order to deal with them. We chose to do a 1-year appointment. That will keep it on schedule because we normally do it right after the election, the 1st January after the election, and then do a 4-year term.
I move that we accept Tracy Shirley as the applicant agent for the Barren County Fiscal Court for this 1-year appointment for 2022.
Well, we have a motion and a second. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Solid waste.
All right, good morning. I just wanted to come up and say that I will be starting the process for the 5-year solid waste plan. I'm supposed to announce it in January. The plan is not due until October. But I will be going through the different ordinances, seeing if anything needs to be updated, make sure everything's what it needs to be. So I have last time's 5-year plan that I'll be going over.
Questions?
Did you say final in October?
Okay. You'll be working with Chairman, Mr. Bowman on that.
Yes, and the Brad office is offered to assist in any way that they could as well.
I mean, it's not true that the solid waste for the whole county has to go through this fiscal court, even though the city has their own landfill.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I know the city probably will have to do their own 5-year plan. But
I thought we were, the county's responsible for this solid waste in the whole county. I think, I'm just curious. Thank you.
All right, quarterly reports from departments. These are the budgets that you guys had requested. I think the coroner's office is up first. Questions from the coroner. Tracy, do we have that loaded to show on the screen? Jane? Okay, but it's not a very big budget. I know the rest of it should be, so.
Okay, morning. The part of my budget goes, I have a copy of this, more if you need it, but at the end of December 31st, we're at a total of 39.4% of our budget. So we're doing good. It's kind of like a squeaky wheel. You don't see me, everything's going good. The end of the year, we got a total of 178 calls, corner calls this past year, 2021. Which is up from 165 in 20 and 139 in 2019. We've been seeing more of the COVID-19 deaths at home this second go around than we did the first. Due to most people, hospitals are full, they don't want to go to the hospital, so they go home. And that's when we take care of them if they pass away at home with whatever the cause being. But that's kind of where we're at. Everything's good. I hope we don't make any more calls this year. We've already had 10.
So when you're saying calls, that's a death?
Yes.
Just,
Yes, that's correct.
would you been able to talk on history? I think you just did the history on the and this is just Barren County, the deaths. How far do you have it back that you just presented? I'll write that down again. Your calls last year was how many?
165.
Can you go back to next year, or you have that in your mind?
2019 was 139. I could go back. I have records back to 1970.
Right, so we're looking at
But
just about 20,
they increase every year.
but not a big number that you've seen in this.
Just the big jump right now, they not have to go back and look to be sure, is from 2019 to 2020, 139, 165.
What the real number of deaths, that's going to tell you a lot about this pandemic and really how it's affected.
The deaths, coroner investigates those death investigations if an individual dies at home and they're not under hospice. The coroner will go and do a death investigation and do the manner and cause of death. If you come into the emergency room and you die in the emergency room, we go take care of that, whatever the cause is. We will, of course, accidents, unfortunately suicides, overdoses, things like that. We will go and investigate those if they're outside of the hospital or in the emergency room. If someone comes into the hospital for a procedure, whatever procedure they're going to do, and for some reason they die, we check on that. We go investigate that. Those are just some of the reasons that a coroner would be called to a scene or to the hospital to do a death investigation.
You seen a rise in suicides and drug overdoses in last year because of COVID. Nationwide, they say that's happening. I don't know if it's happening locally or not.
Right. We're I'll have to go back to be sure. I'm in the process of compiling statistics for 2021. And I'm going to look back at 2019 for the very thing, for drug overdoses, suicides, and things like that. I mean, obviously, we've had unfortunately, our share of those. I'm in the process of looking at that.
Mr. Gibson, on these 165 calls, did you take them all, or do you have someone that assists you from time to time?
Now I have 2 deputies. Okay. That's it. I do actually the overwhelming majority of the calls. I figured if people elected me to do that, that's what I'm going to do. But obviously I need time off or may feel bad or something and need some help, but they're there to help me. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Transportation Department. Did you have something to share?
Yeah, perfect.
Share that.
Good morning, board.
Morning.
Hi, this is the second quarterly of the 2021-22 budget. Next slide, please. As you can see at the halfway point, we have spent 26.6% of our budget. I've got the breakdowns of the first and the second quarter. We finished our 6th mowing cycle. It took 27 days at $22,775.46. Total mowing cost for the season was $118,902.34. It ranged from the start date of April 7th through November 1st. Out of 149 working days, we mowed 130 of those. And in those 19 days, they were used elsewhere if it was too wet for them to mow.
So, if I could ask, how does that compare to, I know we outsource that, or, that we contracted that mowing.
Mhm.
The year before that, was that 160,000?
I think it was a little more than that. I
180,
think it was about 180, yes,
so it's 180,000.
for 3 cycles,
Well, it's what we
contracted out.
contracted out
Yes.
versus we did 6
Mhm.
for basically less than 120,000.
Yep.
Great job.
Any other questions?
I can make a comment, I was wrong. When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong, but I voted to contract it out again. I won't contract it out again. I've done excellent job. I was wrong, I want to do it.
And for the most part, during the mowing season, we use the 2 new tractors and 1 truck.
Good job.
The comment I was, yeah, other than the saving of the money, we heard, I didn't hear any complaints, period. Did you all? I mean, I know.
I got 1.
One out of last year was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, I've kind of mixed the second and the third quarter together because it's a lot of the same things. We grader patched, we prepped and paved 2 roads approximately 1.5 miles. We ordered some of that cold patch from the Flynn Brothers. It's pre-mixed, it's dumped on site. I ordered 100 ton of salt. We've received that full capacity at the beginning of the season, and I've done put another order in for another 100 ton. Boom mower can take up to a year to get all the way around the county. Right now, it's still in the shop being worked on. So as soon as we get it back, we'll start back the process of it. Of course, shoulder and ditch work, checking and cleaning tiles, low water forward signs. We've installed and replaced a lot of cross tiles. I'm fixing to place an order for some. Some have a specific location and some will just be on site in case we have an emergency. Tree removal and cleanup, and of course, we've had a lot of storms, tornadoes, high winds, flooding. That's in both quarters. We took the paper to Brandi in Lexington, waiting on a quote for repairs. I do know they've serviced it already. We've got a price on that, but as far as the actual repairs, we're still waiting. We've been compiling a list for paving, not only for in-house, but what we'd like to see put on the flex money for this next time. The small graders in the shop waiting for a quote on repairs of that one, which keep in mind, nobody applied for the mechanic's position, so we're having to start outsourcing. So you will see a difference in that budget line. It's going to go up somewhat. I got an update on the new trucks. He told me when I emailed him a week or so ago that they would probably have it in a couple of weeks, but that's just a guesstimate. And then the one that we've ordered for the dump bed has been pushed back to mid-February build date. If you need more detailed information, I email y'all once the first of the month, or you can call me if you have any questions.
Very cool.
Have you got your phone yet, Sue?
No, but as soon as I get it, I'll send y'all out the numbers. Yes. This is the gravel bucket that we, y'all approved for us to purchase this last month. As you can see, at the big tree that it's picked up, big chunk of tree. It's been very handy over the storms we've had the last few weeks. Corner Road, this is issue we had during one of the heavy rains. We've got it put back that day, and we just recently went out and paved over the top of it, patched over the top of it. Horton Rigdon Cinco, as you can see, they're filling it back up in this picture on the left. But that's looking from the roadside what that hope looked like. We had the end of a tile washout on Oak Grove Church. We've recently replaced that after the storm. We've got to go back and patch over top of it after it settles a little bit. Any questions?
One other question, I'm not on the committee, but Billy, I would like for y'all maybe to look at an extra, have one on spare with boom truck, and that's just my opinion. You know, I'm just maybe to think about that, because I know how demanding that is, and if you're down, you're down. But that's just my opinion to look at that. But whatever you want your.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Recreation Department.
Fall there. Basically, I don't have a lot. We're kind of down at this time. You know, we're cold weather. We don't play much baseball. I'll tell you a few things about the fall. We had 400 plus kids sign up for fall ball, the most ever. We've this spring, we've got some new plans coming in. I found that we've had a transition, kind of difficulty transition from T-ball into what we call a swing pitch machine, which is 7 and 8 year olds. I've added a new league or new age group to the league this year. It's going to be 5 and 6 year olds who play what's called coach pitch. And then we still have T-ball, which is for 4 and 5 year olds. That coach pitch kind of helped them see a ball coming to them and transition them into that swing pitch machine, which pitches about 38 miles per hour at 40 feet. So we put that in, trying to hope to transition that where the kids are not so scared to see a ball coming at them. Pretty well, as right now, we've got pretty good response from people that like that idea. You'll soon hear, we've got some discussion here about what we're looking to purchase and things as far as the budget. My budget, we're on track. We're at 54% still available to through fall ball, the actual Ohio Valley tournament, things like that. So we're still looking good as far as the budget's concerned. Sign-ups have started. If you know anybody that has children, ages 4 to 12 years old, tell them to give us a call or look at us on Facebook, Barren County Parks and Recreations, registration site there. Last year during spring, we had 619 kids. I'd like to see us up to about 750. Love to see us up to about 1,000. I'm gonna keep pushing and doing those things. Got plans to do a lot of things. I'm going out in the community and things, getting awareness out. Of course, social media is one of the best ways. But I'm also reaching out. I started it last year, the first year I came in. I do just a little handout that I go to each individual school, and it goes home with the kids, so the parents actually see that they can play ball. And I think that's where we had the biggest jump in numbers, because we went from like 400 kids up to 600, 580, 620. So maybe that'll continue to grow. As far as anything else, I don't have it. Anybody got any questions so far?
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to committee reports, Transportation Committee.
We met January the 13th, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we opened bids for a steel road. And got one from Green River, which was $42,950. And he got one from Caterpillar for $45,890. But now they're telling us on this Spring River, we can't get a delivery date till 23. So we'll have to make our mind if we want to go with this other one. Rent for a year or 6 months. Or that'd probably a year if it don't come in 23. And I don't, Susan seems to think it's around $1,000 more to rent. But Caterpillar may be our best bet. That's for 6 months.
Susan, did Scott look at both these rotors?
Yes.
Which one did he prefer?
The Dynapack. He preferred the Dynapack.
Wow.
It's more what we need. There's not as many bells and whistles to tear up down the road. It's like what we used last year, except this one's gonna be diesel, it's gonna be a little bit bigger.
Where it's out of Nashville.
He's got a store in Bowling Green. And he said we would be dealing strictly with him if we had any issues.
Price was the same.
The Dynapack was a little cheaper than,
Right, I mean, but since Scott talked to this guy, we wasn't a real person, so I didn't know the price changed. We were going through Great River.
yeah, Green River, and then we got one for the cat.
Right.
But yeah, the guy Green River bid a brand,
Is the cat roller on hand?
there's two down there that he got on and they started.
And we can get them in February of this year.
So the cats are used.
No, they're new.
So the Dynapack, that's moved from a delivery date of February 22 to 2023.
He called me a while ago and there was a miscommunication on the dates.
I make a motion that we purchase the cat roller. I'll second it. Motion, we have a second. Any other questions?
Y'all prefer the Dynapack, is that correct? So what is your season where you use the roller? Is it 6 months?
We started in April this last year and we went on, I think, through 1st of November. Just depends on weather permitting. But
About
it's
6
cheap.
or 7 months.
It's cheaper, if you're gonna rent one, it's cheaper to do it by a month at a time.
It's $1,000 a month.
Give or take.
And the difference in the cat and the Dynapack was what?
$45,890 for the cat. The other was $42,950,
I think it was like 2,900.
20-something, under 3,000.
Just an opinion. If operators like the Dynapack better, it's $3,000 more we would be spending. You still be getting the roller for service. Like, that's just,
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys said that you do recommend the Dynapacks, which you all like. Okay.
so we'd be spending $3,000, but we're getting the use of a machine for $3,000 because the Dynapack's $3,000. Correct.
Well, if we went with the Dynapack, it would be a year before we were to get that. So how many months would we have to pay $1,000?
Well, depending on weather, anywhere from April to possibly November. 6, 7 months maybe. But keep in mind, we still have our other roller too. It's just starting to cost us a little bit here and there.
And this new one's gonna be wider.
Okay, call for the question.
Squire Riddle,
Yes.
Squire Dickerson,
No,
Squire Cameron,
No.
Squire Bowman,
Yes.
Squire Sarton,
No.
Squire Houchins,
Yes.
Squire Potts,
No.
Judge Hale.
Yes.
I just want you guys to get what you prefer. The only reason, that's one reason.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and buy the Dynapack.
Okay, we have a motion.
A second.
Second, Patrick Potts. Call for questions.
What we voting on now?
Dynapack.
That's one they prefer.
Did you say delivery next February?
He said that he got a date of 2023.
But
No,
just as we seen the delivery date move a year, that's not a guaranteed delivery date, is it? They gonna guarantee 2020?
I mean, we've run into a lot of situations where we're waiting on parts and just like these new trucks, we're at their discretion, we're waiting till they decide to deliver them.
And
Once they get them made.
I would like to, for you guys to get the one you prefer, but if the Dynapack is gonna continue to be delayed, I don't see why we wait.
I can't agree with you more. I mean, you're gonna pay, the Dynapack's going to cost you $4,000 more if you use it throughout the season with renting. And cat is bringing, there's no question about that. And they're right down the street. 30 minutes away from getting parts, so I don't understand it, but that's what we hope.
I think the main thing is we want you guys to have what you think you can do the best job with when you want it. So I'd like to have your personal opinion, which one you think?
I mean, there's no guarantee with anything we order that we're gonna get it when they say we're supposed to. Our dump trucks don't come in when they're supposed to.
So you think there wouldn't be a major problem with going with the CAD over the Dynapack this work?
He just preferred it. Scotland looked at him, he liked the Dynapack because there's a lot of stuff on that cat that has push button, possible problems down the road, extras.
You have to look at resale to pieces of equipment as well.
CAD serviced in Bowling Green and Dynapack will be serviced for.
Bowling Green.
What's the warranty on these things?
Y'all got paperwork on the bids. I think one of them, I think the cat was 1,000 hours on the hydraulics, I believe.
But the CAD has more electronic stuff on it to tear up.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of push button.
That's good when it works.
Judge, just call the question.
Roll call vote, please.
Squire Dickerson,
Yes.
Squire Coomer,
Pass. What'd you say? Said pass. Okay, your vote will go to the prevailing, so, no,
Squire Bowman,
yes.
Squire Sargent,
Is,
Squire Houchins,
Yes.
Squire Botts.
Yes.
Squire Riddle,
No.
Judge Hale.
Yes. Okay. All right, thanks. Ex-chairman?
well, she's already talked about that. Repairs on those booths. And then, we got the agreement with the resolution with the Kentucky Transportation
Correct.
District.
So a little history on this. I think it was Master Riddle that asked the question in July, when the state of Kentucky put out the counties for discretionary, and I'm holding that now. I shared that with the transportation committee. Barren County was not on that. The only county with a B was Ballard County. And I've got that for anyone who wants to look at it. But I had a text sent to me last week saying, hey, when you guys are going to sign that resolution and get it back for discretionary? Well, I immediately went to Sherry, said, Sherry, have we received anything? Because I didn't find anything on my phone. Sherry didn't find anything on her. They said it was sent October the 1st. Well, if we look at the paper, it's actually October the 27th. There's also an attachment for a resolution to asphalt Spencer Mattingly Lane. Well, we don't have a Spencer Mattingly Lane in Barren County, so I'm not sure what that mix up is. Anyway, we had sent in 8 roads for discretionary, and when this list come out, where our name wasn't on the list, we started just paving those roads with our coal mix. So we've already finished, I believe, 3 or 4 of those roads, but they have sent this resolution to agree today for discretionary to pave Cooktown Road 2.711 miles. That was requested. Capitol Hill Church Road 3.533 miles. And then finish Keno 88, which is 1.6 miles. That is discretionary, will be paid to us $485,545. And I'm putting that in the form of the motion so we can sign this and get it back to them. Second, Master Riddle. Questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. That's all we got. Thank you. Okay, move on to administrative and budget. Chairman Box.
Yes, we had a meeting January 11th, 2:45, following the transportation committee meeting. We talked about the uniform policy ordinance, and we didn't have any action taken there. We need a little bit more information before we have any action on that. And then second, we did receive a bid for the storage building construction. Sheriff has been putting together, and I guess some questions that came about how it even came to our committee is several months ago, the sheriff in some of his reports and stuff was talking about the need of a place for training, and they've been, the place has been letting them do some training, and we, our committee and the judge actually asked the sheriff if he would go out and try to get some proposals for us. So we asked him to do that. I think that's kind of how it ended up on our committee, and he followed up on that. And now we're at that point. And along with that, Helena's equipment that we're going to be purchasing for will need to be stored in a better place. So Slash, the sheriff, needed it. Helena's storage, so we were looking at that through the sheriff and our committee, and I think that's kind of how it got tied in on our committee versus a property, and I'm sure it'll probably end up being in the property, maybe the next stage. But anyway, we did get a bid in. Scott Murphy and Daniel was the only bid. It was $184,975. I asked Sherry to give all the rest of the court a copy of the details in that proposal. And we didn't do any action that day. I wanted all the court members to see that price, and there was no action taken. So I just got it on forward for any questions that the court members have. If they want to do any action, we would have to have a motion, but certainly time to discuss right now. If you all want to ask the committee anything on that, or again, how this came about. The sheriff was asked to kind of put together and up this project of a storage building for him and Elena Slash.
Is it the recommendation of the committee that you accept this bid?
We didn't have any recommendation because I wanted the whole court to look at that. Okay, my recommendation is not to, but that's just my personal recommendation. I think we need to have some other bidders look at it. I don't know, during holiday time or some of the companies may not have seen it. A lot of stuff's been going on. COVID's kind of got hit hard again, and a lot of just the storms and the weather and a lot of things. But I do appreciate the one bid that we did have, but as far as my personal opinion, I want to hear from all the other courts, just not besides mine on this bigger project.
Questions, comments?
I have a question for the sheriff and the clerk. Where are these storage? Where's the storage now? Yeah, where your voting machines, your storage, is at the old jail, is that correct?
It's why the paper files are at the old jail, which we've removed almost 80% of them. We're still working on some of the others. The voting machines are, if I can speak for the clerk voluntarily, the voting machines are stored at the county barn president. So we're trying to do some records retention things, get caught up, and we have a lot of the paperwork records destroyed through the record retention schedule by the state. So we've eliminated quite some of it.
But one question, what would be the cost of renting storage facility to store these temporarily? Do y'all have any idea?
I do. I checked on that in the month of November, gave that report. For me, a 10 by 20 climate control room was $3,000 a year. She would equally have to have the same because of the size and the dimensions of the voting machines, which came up to a $6,000 figure per year, which brought us to this some type of wire. We felt like $6,000 a year could be better spent in a form of owning our own building. So. You have a question? And there's still some avenues required to do some more research.
Any action, Court?
I'd like to move we table this. It's a motion, we can table this to the next meeting, Judge. That,
What information are we going to try to find?
well, he said there were some things he could investigate, the sheriff did. As far as some avenues to investigate, I think.
We've got some other things that we've talked about too that I'd like to check on. What, I don't know the rules of tabling, whether you reject it, bring it up again, I'm assuming, Judge, that in the future, we could probably resubmit our specifications for a different type of bid. I don't know that.
I guess you want to table this bid?
Well, there hasn't been even been a motion made, so I'm out of order.
Gotcha.
I make a motion that we reject this bid.
Motion.
I second.
We have a second. Questions on the rejection of the bid? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay.
That's all I have to.
So, and again, anything, you don't have anything left at the old jail, correct?
I do have a few records that we're going to try to remove this week, Judge.
And we have places for that.
Well, temporarily I do.
Okay.
However, that's not going to last long.
Ms. Birdwell, do you have anything that needs to be stored quickly?
Not quickly. Our new equipment has been delivered, so
So it's
we're
good.
excited about that. But of course, it needs the best storage possible, so. But we do want to get, the best bid for the county.
Thank you. Jailer, do you have? Okay, all right.
So, Helena, you do have a place for these new machines, not in the county barn right now. They are.
They are in
Good. I mean, do we need to look at temporary, those units that we're talking about? We can do that monthly. Do we need to? I mean, I just don't want anything to happen. We spent this much money on machines. We need to protect it the best. I mean, I really don't know. What's your opinion on that?
Susan, how do you feel about that area? Where they're at?
I mean, you understand my
Oh,
concern.
yeah.
Keep in mind where they're at back there at the road department. We do have, if it rains real heavy, we do have a leak in that rain. We've got them away from where it leaks, but they are new machines.
I don't, if I remember, was it brought up to OSHA standards with those machines in there? Maybe not.
I'm not sure what the standards are for
When they
them.
come in and that was on the report
Uh,
a couple years ago.
they are supposed to be locked. But we also use that as a sign room too.
Is the Quonset hut part of the demolition of the jail or we saving it?
Now we're safe.
Can it be, is it being used for something else or can it be turned into a controlled environment building?
I just challenge you all just to go over and look at it, go down to the transportation department, see what they've got, and come up with something. I think we can talk about it all day, but I think when you guys actually go lay your eyes on what we can do and cannot do, I think you get more out of it. But I think Boston would be a great idea.
We want to get probably not both. Would I be out of order to make a motion that we rent a temporary space?
I'm sure out of order.
Is that, so I can't do that? That's just not on the agenda.
I don't see anything pressing right now.
Okay, I just don't want,
Um,
I hate to spend $200,000 on voting machines or 165.
Have you seen the new voting machine?
Yes,
Have you?
I was here at the demonstration.
Well, have you seen them since they've been delivered? That's what I'm saying. You guys go look and see where they're at now. And
Well, I know they don't need to be there,
go check the old Quonset hut out, see what we can do, bring us back a plan to the.
but I'm just talking about temporarily. I know they don't need to be in the county barn. That's the reason I'm asking for.
County attorney. Yeah, can he go ahead and make that today?
Temporary storage for the voting machines. If I can, that's all I can do is ask.
When we discuss that, I don't know how I feel about putting those in a storage unit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna vote for that. The good thing about where they're at now, someone looks at them every day. We've got cameras in that room, security cameras. I understand it's probably not OSHA approved, but it is pretty secure. There are people down there the majority of the time, so makes pretty secure facility.
How don't we put them out for bids again? Hey, we only got one, and I know these armies, they build them every day. And they don't read newspapers. They don't get one, no bids.
Squire, that may be some of the future plans.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back, kind of review what we've done so far, kind of look at what other objectives are, other possibilities are. And I'm not familiar with the exact order, but it's possible that we come back in 2 or 3 months with a different plan or a different bid or re-advertise for bids, if that is through the process possibility.
That sounds good.
Yeah, go answer your question. Obviously, we went on a fact-finding mission. We found some facts. There's still facts to find. So I can still work on it. Obviously, our urgency is with the voting machine because that's our high dollar item, so to speak. The whole objective is to plan for the future because obviously our records aren't getting any smaller. The voting machine is the monetary asset, the big dollar value, so to speak. So that's kind of where our urgency, if you want to call it that, is to protect those voting machines. So give me another month or so and let me do some more work on it. Let's ask some questions and maybe we can do the best we can what we've got presently. Susan, I know she always works with us, like everybody has. But there's still questions to be answered. If that is truly an answer to the question.
Yeah.
See you next month, sure. Okay, we'll move on. Parks and Rec, Chairman Rhodes.
Parks and Rec met this morning, 8:30. We've got a few things going to talk about here. First of all, Max makes his way to the podium. We'll need some money for the charter. We'll need some money for insurance. The insurance start off with is $5,014 per year. Is in the budget. That's not per year, that can increase. Charter is $2,091.95 at this time. We're asking for $5,014 at this time for insurance, $2,091.95 for the charter, knowing that those numbers can increase as the enrollment increases. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I make a motion that for pay these bills, and these are in the budget.
Got a motion, second, have a second, Master Potts, questions?
Is this for liability insurance or building property?
No, it's for liability insurance on the kids. You got furniture insurance like KK, like schools have, things like that. Jenny and I even went back because cost of insurance is high. Everybody knows that. We checked with, was it the league or KK? I don't remember.
We can do Keiko.
KK,
Yeah,
and they
don't
advised
even
us,
supply that.
yeah, and they advised us to continue to stay with the person that specializes in this type of insurance because they're going to be cheaper. So we were looking for cheaper rates. It's just, we've come to the conclusion that this is what we got to be. It goes through Babe Ruth. It's cheaper through Babe Ruth because it's a national organization. And they get everybody in the United States.
So it's not a local thing.
No.
Max's liability insurance, is that based on a set number of teams or does that change as the teams increase or decrease?
It does. Pull this one up. Okay, like for the insurance, I have what's called a major 70, that is 12U baseball team. Okay, it's $126 per team. Okay, as of right now, I've got 3 teams listed. Last year we had 6. I don't know what that final number is going to be until our registration ends. It's going to end in the 1st of March, first end of February. So what I did, we've got to have this done and completed by end of January to stay chartered. So, you know, and then you go down to like, it gets a little cheaper on the age groups, like minor league, which is a 10U team. it's a little cheaper, it's $99 per team. But then you go to T-ball or rookie league, it's $132 because they're new. They're saying that pitch machine, there is more chance of being injured, you know, not knowing the sport yet, I guess you'd say. So it's just the individual teams and then the totals come out. Right now, I think 25 teams is what I've got registered. We had 50, 55, 56 last year teams. So I've just kind of split it in half, a little less than half.
But what you're, I guess my point is, what you're asking for, we're fully covered, no matter how many, if it's up to the 25 teams.
Right.
Okay.
If I get, say, like I wind up with 55 teams, I'll be back to ask you to insure those remaining teams, whatever I've got. I've just put it at half so that we can get their charter done, or we don't lose our charter through Babe Ruth, and we can move forward, and then I can come back and add teams to it.
Any other questions? Any other questions on this? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
We're asking the court to purchase 2 pitching mounds. These are portable pitching mounds that you set out on the field that can be taken off, put back, and made of a polystyrofoam type thing that pitchers can stand on. They are essential for both the 10U and the 12U. Cost of the ones that Maxie has presented to us is $3,369 a piece. We're asking the court to allow us to purchase 2 of those. And I would like to make a motion that we do that.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second, Dr. Dickerson. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Practice field update, and the land and water grant drainage project. I talked with the representative from American Engineers yesterday, and I was told that the field work has been done, and they're in the process of finalizing the plans. The plans will be sent to us for approval as soon as they're done. And also, got to purchase, Maxie saying we need to purchase, was it 2 pallets, Maxie, of field preparation material?
Well, it's a total of 10 pallets.
10 pallets.
2 pallets of sure dry, what that is.
Yeah.
And then 8 pallets of conditioner.
Yeah, for total cost, including shipping tax, was $4,105.20. And that is in our budget, right?
Yes.
So I'd make a motion that we purchase these 2 pallets of, at least 10 pallets of field preparation material.
Do we have a motion? Second. Second, Master Houchins. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye. I guess the only other thing we have left on here is the, actually like to give us a little updates for things that he wants to change to enhance our quality of play.
Few things that I discussed with the committee is I would like to put together, we had in our Babe Ruth state tournament games, we had 3 baseball teams that finished runner-ups. They were competitive, they were state runner-ups, competitive. They even went on to the regional tournaments and things like that, were competitive in that. Didn't quite make it to the runner-ups part of it, but I'm trying to do things to improve the children and the type of talent that they face. So what we would like to do eventually that I'm working on is you got to be a member of, you got to be in the league. You cannot come from outside the league to play on these teams, but to be able to get these teams and put together children in the league together to travel out and play different tournaments in different areas. That's what most of the other leagues around us do, that like Elizabethtown, you know, we played them close. We were within 2 runs on our 12U team. 10U played a little team. They were close within 1 run of winning the state tournament. So, you know, we just got to do something to see a little better talent and things like that. And I think we need to try to support them in those journeys. We need to, you know, come up with a way to furnish maybe some uniforms and things. And like I said, I'm gonna go out in the community and try to get different business owners to see if they'll donate and things like that. But then I'm also, you know, and they still fall underneath, if those teams play like that, they still fall underneath this insurance. We don't have to add another team for them. They still have this insurance. They still have this coverage. And I'm gonna try to do something to try to come up with some type of money to try to fund those teams, because these tournaments out and about cost up to $300 for a team to get. Some of them can even be higher than that. But I think it'd be better for our school systems, our kids, everybody, as far as seeing different talent throughout the state, the Commonwealth, and try to play these tournaments. But that's an idea that I've come up with. That's what I'm gonna try to introduce now. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I don't really want to call it a travel team or an all-star team or anything like that, because nobody can play on it unless they're in that league. But yes, you know, you're gonna probably pick some of the better teams and things, but I've got a lot of the coaches coming together that's following these kids, like a 10U softball team. I've got 5 coaches that came from the 8U softball team up to 10U, and they're gonna try to follow these girls and keep them together and play all these girls and separate them out like they should be and grade them things until they get out of 12U. So I'm trying to implement that so that our teams have kind of a normal as to who's coaching, switching out a coach each and every year.
Some cost of funds for those.
Well, uniforms can cost you up to about $500 per team.
$3,000-4,000.
Yeah, if that much, you know, I was kind of shooting for maybe if we could run maybe 1,000, 1,500 per team. We're looking at 3 teams softball and maybe 4 teams on baseball, because you can run 11U team that we can still have pitching core kind of host in. So
I don't know how many of you all remember, I'm an old guy, but that years ago, the Bank of Summer Shade used to fund the softball team that went all over
Right.
the country.
Yeah.
And Eaton actually won
Yeah.
the state tournament 2 or 3 times.
so that's right. That's
So
correct.
they were all Barren County. Well,
Yeah.
they all worked at Eaton, but I remember
Right.
them. I don't know if y'all remember that.
And that's kind of, because I do remember that, and that's kind of the concept I'm going with, Carl. As I'm trying
Good
to
idea.
see when these kids can do that, you know, and these companies will step up, help us a little bit. Don't know where it'll be, you know, we talked just, it may be something we have to line item on, be brought up earlier in the next year's budget, something, but I just think it'd be better for the kids, better for our school teams, you know, and things like that. And so,
I think that's all we have.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Max. Thank you, Max. The ARPA committee, met this morning, it's 11:45. We had 3 items that we talked about, 3 items on the agenda. Number 1 was discussion with the committee, and basically what we're talking about there is that we're gonna get the more we talk about this ARPA money, the more people's gonna be making requests. We're gonna take it in categories, so that we don't get a whole bunch open at one time. And what we're asking the public to do, if they call in here, how they submit a request to be involved in some of this funding, is that they do it in writing, or they do it by email, and that the emails be addressed to Krista Steenberg. And so people can still comment, but ultimately what we want to do is take these requests that are going to be coming in and continue to come in, print them off, categorize them by sector, so that when we get to that sector, we have them already there. Next thing we talked about is go ahead and get some people paid. We have paid the employees that received their money. They were the first to receive some of the ARPA funds. We made a motion to give the 4 departments, I think it was 20,000 fees. Be a total of 8 4 departments, be $160,000. Now we have to enter into agreement with the 4 departments. Krista is working on that agreement. Now in court, here's where it gets a little tricky, so you might have to help me out, Mr. County Attorney. In court, we voted to
if the fire departments needed money, they could call in and we could issue them a check. Well, after rethinking that, it seems like it's gonna turn into an administrative nightmare for Jenny to be calling it, for the fire chiefs to be calling and saying, hey, I need $200, I need $500. So what we wanna do is change that, make a new motion, is that we go ahead and pay these guys. They're $20,000, they're all grown adults, we don't have to micromanage them, and set guidelines as to kind of what the money can be used for. And we will occasionally look over their shoulder to see that the money's being used for that. So how do I need to handle that motion?
Okay, so Magistrate Riddle, we have, Ms. Steenbergen has, and I've met with regard to the agreements that we would do with EMS and also with the volunteer fire departments. We have a working document that I have looked at and approved that would include verbiage that gives the appropriate use of funds. And I believe the way the agreement is set up at this point, it would be, that's how the agreement reads, is that the monies would be dispersed to them. And then there are some reporting, record keeping factors in that agreement, requirements in that agreement. Those are already in place.
So do we need to backpedal and do anything from the previous motion?
The original motion states 8 volunteer fire departments will receive $20,000 from the department to be used for equipment purchases as needed. These funds shall not be used for expenses other than equipment. It cannot go to any personnel because it will be difficult to figure out who made runs and who did not make runs. These funds will be held in the county treasury for the departments until requested and voted on by the court. If the fire departments make a request, it still has to come before the court for approval.
Now, what he's reading is that was their original motion the last time we were in court.
So do we need to
So
change
we
that?
would have to have a new motion to modify that, yes.
So next month, when we meet again, we'll have the agreement tweaked and you'll have the opportunity to look at it. We changed a few of the words in it this morning to fit the EMS and the fire department. So we'll have that, you'll have that agreement.
I have, and I've actually already reviewed that since the committee meeting and approved that with the new verbiage.
So you're saying it's ready now?
I'm saying the agreement is fine now.
So we need to make a motion that we adopt the new agreement and we strike off the old
Yes, sir.
language.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's my motion.
I'll second that.
State your motion, please.
I move that, the motion will be that we accept the new agreement that was finalized this morning by the county attorney, the EMS, and with the volunteer for 8 volunteer fire departments.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second that.
Have a second, Master Dickerson. Questions?
What exactly is the change in this? I mean, is it the mode of payment?
To mobile payment so that they don't have to come to court every time they need $100 and they don't have to be calling Jenny, and it expedites the process, gives them the $20,000. They still have to be responsible. It's just expedites the process.
Right, just want to make that clear. Thank you, Trey.
We added the words equipment, supplies, and repairs, not just equipment.
Not just materials, yes.
And with regard to I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
With regard to EMS, the change, the language would be for premium pay at the discretion of the EMS director with input from the board.
And all of these, the equipment, supplies, and materials would meet the ARPA standards, correct, Christie?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I also want to note that in the last motion that was made to do this, the court carried this unanimously. That means every person on this court agreed with giving $20,000 per each fire department. Is there any questions as it relates to that, folks? Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Squire Cameron,
Yes.
Squire Bowman,
Yes.
Squire Sarton,
Yes.
Squire Allen.
Yes.
Squire Bott.
Yes.
Squire Riddle.
Yes.
Squire Dickerson.
Yes.
Judge Hill.
Yes, absolutely.
We also talked a little bit about, the next step. So we pay the employees, the fire departments are now going to get issued their check. The EMS will get issued their funds for their employees. Our next step will be the healthcare workers. That'll be the next sector that we're going to take on. Just as a reminder, the board agreed to earmark $1 million of this money. The healthcare workers of Barren County, and another $500,000 for education to help for scholarship education to create incentive to create more healthcare workers. So that'll be a topic of our next meeting. And then I think after that, we're gonna follow up with the nonprofits. We'll probably do the next one that we talked about. Okay. And then also, we have a resolution in our packet to premium pay. It's just business we need to take care of. And I need to make a motion that we accept this resolution.
Okay, we have a motion. Second. We have a second, Mashie Creamer. I'm gonna let the county attorney read this resolution.
A resolution approving premium pay for essential county workers pursuant to the American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA. Whereas Barren County, hereinafter county, hereby recognizes that our county workforce has performed exceptionally during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, hereinafter pandemic, which began March 13th, 2020. Whereas the United States Congress passed the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, signed into law March 11th, 2021, which provides individual counties an allotment of funds for a variety of purposes related to the pandemic. Whereas one of the ARPA permissible purposes is premium pay for essential workers, which includes work performed by local government employees. Whereas premium pay means, in part, an amount up to $13.00 per hour in addition to wages or remuneration the worker otherwise receives. Whereas Barren County recognizes that all county employees, regardless of wage level, should be rewarded and incentivized for having provided and for continuing to provide exemplary service during this pandemic as pandemic risks cut across income levels. And whereas Barren County wishes to reward and to incentivize our employees by creating a program that recognizes exceptional work. Whereas the Treasury urges counties to prioritize premium pay low and moderate income persons. Counties should prioritize low and moderate income persons with additional written justification needed for workers above 150% of the residing state's average annual wage for all occupations or their residing county's average annual wage, whichever is higher. Now therefore be it resolved by the Fiscal Court of the County of Barren, Commonwealth of Kentucky as follows. The county was allotted ARPA funding to be utilized for a variety of purposes related to the pandemic. One of ARPA's permissible purposes is essential worker premium pay. ARPA recognizes that county employees are essential workers, making county employees premium pay eligible. The county has determined that as recognition of and as an incentive to provide exemplary work during this pandemic, all regular, full, and part-time county employees who were employed by the county at any time from March 13th, 2020 through March 13th, 2021, and who remained employed by Barren County on December 17th, 2021, are hereby eligible to receive ARPA-funded premium arrears pay for hours worked, excluding administrative leave, telework from home, and Zoom or other video conferencing work from home. In accordance with ARPA premium pay guidelines, premium pay for all regular, full, and part-time county employees shall be calculated at the rate of $3 per hour worked for the time period beginning March 13th, 2020 and ending March 13th, 2021. The payments shall be received by current employees in 3 equal payments with an allotment of an additional $300 to each payment for the purpose of offsetting taxes on the monies. Additionally, there shall be a cap on the cumulative payment amount of $9,900. The first payment was dispersed in December 2021. The second payment shall be dispersed in June 2022, and the third payment shall be dispersed in December 2022. Furthermore, it is determined that elected county officials, though they are county employees, are hereby exempted from premium pay. Approved this, what day are we, 18th day of January 2022.
You've heard the resolution. Is there a motion to accept? Okay. Any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Might have read it, I was listening, but it was included in there that they still have to be an employee of the county when they get those fugitive payments. So where they were employed at that time, I didn't see anything.
Yes, sir. It says the payments shall be received by current employees in 3 equal payments.
Questions? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Squire Bowman,
Yes.
Squire Sargent,
Yes.
Squire Hatchett.
Yes.
Squire Botts.
Yes.
Squire Riddle.
Yes.
Squire Hickerson.
Yes.
Squire Cameron.
Yes.
Judge Hale.
Yes, thank you.
The ARPA committee is requesting to have our regular monthly meeting the third Tuesday of February at 7:45 here in the courtroom. That's okay with the judge and staff. And if you have any questions, we're going to, our main topic of discussion right now will be healthcare. So if you have any questions or you have any input, all input is welcome. There's no bad question. Just compile those and you can send them to me if you want to. Or you can give them to me prior to the meeting, mail them to me, or you can call me, I'll get them somehow or other. Just compile those questions or those comments or those suggestions, and every one of them will be considered. That's all we have to do.
Okay, we'll move on. Other old business, we've already talked about the Estes Road, Quarry Road, Master Dickerson.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I have 2 viewers that we need to get approved by the court today. One is Frank Nichols, and the other is Jerry Garrett. That's approved.
Is that your
I'll make
motion?
a motion, yes, that we approve those. Second.
Second, Master Houchins. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
One thing, I talked to Susan before the meeting, and we're gonna get together the next couple of weeks and get this thing rolling.
Thank you. I'm gonna back up a little bit. I want to refer back to Master Botts. With the county attorney here, when it relates to the uniform return policy, I'm pretty sure we need to get some verbiage down pat on this. That way we can vote on this the next time. So while she's here, I think Master Bowman had some input on that. So Master Bowman, if you'd like to put your verbiage.
I think where we met, the questions centered around who would be responsible to administer this, and after, and Jeff, you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but we felt like whoever was issuing the uniforms, which would be the department heads, they should also be involved in the returns of those uniforms. We felt like that would be probably the speediest way to do that, most efficient way to do that, maybe. So we'd like for that verbiage, the department heads will be responsible for return of the uniforms.
Your intention to hold them monetarily responsible.
Who? The
Department heads.
No, well, the department heads would be responsible to relate that information to the treasurer. Correct, Jenny? Is that the way this should flow?
Yes.
Yeah. because, department heads, they're the ones, when you have a new employee, they're issuing the uniforms. So when an employee chooses another another employment or they're terminated, whatever the case is, those uniforms have to be returned. So I would think the department head would need to be involved.
So ultimately, what you're asking the agreement or the ordinance to outline is that it's still the employee's responsibility to get the uniforms to their appropriate department head.
Right.
The department head is simply responsible for communicating the return or lack thereof to our treasurer.
Correct.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Essentially, they'll facilitate the return.
Yes.
What is? What is?
I think at one point we talked about putting a dollar amount in there. We were gonna leave it generic and ask for the pre-hire paperwork, depending on what department they were being hired into, we would put an actual dollar amount in there that they would be responsible for. And also, we had talked previously about doing it, we had 2 ways maybe of doing this, holding their paycheck or taking it out of their paycheck. And we were gonna give ourselves that leeway on which one we could do instead of only having one way. Because sometimes I don't know if they may already be gone, or I know. And so I was just wondering about that as well. Do we still have that option to do either or?
So you're wanting to have the option of withholding the paycheck or deducting it out of the paycheck.
That kind of sounds the same to me.
It didn't need to, that's why I'm
No,
trying to clarify.
either to deduct the money from their check or to actually hold their last paycheck until they return the return the uniforms. We talked about that at one point.
And by law, you can withhold the check only for so long. I believe it's 2 weeks or 15 days or the next paycheck, whichever comes last. So that's a possibility. And then if you deduct the pay, if you deduct the amount owed from the last paycheck, you just can't deduct it beyond the point of the worker receiving at least minimum wage for the hours they actually work.
Right, and that is extra to figure out all of that stuff. So, I mean,
Like for us, our uniform days are Wednesdays. And it's say if somebody quit today and turn in 10 of their 11 uniforms, it won't show up to the next week on what they're charging us extra because all the uniforms were turned in. Sometimes it may be 2 weeks, depending on what day it falls on.
Step right up, Sheriff.
Hey, I've got quite a few questions about this. Obviously, we wear uniforms. So I guess my curiosity is, what about depreciation? We collect uniforms. Once a person resigns, retires, quits, whatever it may be, they turn their uniforms in. Okay. But many times those uniforms are worn. What about, even though they turn them in, or let's say they don't turn to me, whatever. I guess I'm looking for the consequence or the rule of measure or whatever it may be called on how you judge that, how you assess that. Because obviously uniforms wear, or let's say don't turn into shirts or whatever. And that's something that's hard to keep up with over the years, especially when you have people work over the years, they wear uniforms out. They may turn them in, or they may be, in our case, sometimes we just tear them up, not purposely, but barbed wire fences, climbing through barns, whatnot, you tear stuff up. So I guess I'm the end result, if I can get this question out, somebody understands me, what is the monetary at the end of the day? How does?
Yeah, that's why we're having kind of an issue with this. What I would like to see, if it's at all possible, is for us to meet with all the department heads in one meeting, and let's discuss this and get a dollar figure. I mean, it may or may not cover the whole amount of uniforms, but it's more than what we would get if we didn't have anything.
Depreciated sheriff's uniform that's been drugged through the bushes is not gonna be worth a lot, but it's turning, it's not.
And another thing, Squire, I've got a whole room lit, we glad to show it to you, that I've even gone out and bought these, I don't know, big things like you see at shopping centers where they're circular, you hang clothes on. I've got 2 of those downstairs. But the fact of it is, I need to go through and get rid of those uniforms. I've recycled patches, I've cut them off sleeves, I've done all I could, but it comes to a point where you can't do it.
Who supplies girls' uniforms?
A couple of different companies.
Y'all order yours. It's not, the other uniforms, you have somebody come wash it for you down there.
We ran ours.
Just from experience, we taking a little money out of their check every week. They agree to it before they get the uniforms. And at the end of the term, if they stay with you long enough, and you get a depreciation schedule from the uniform people, then at the end of the day, they'll get if they leave, they either get a refund or you just keep the money in the pocket. But that's right or wrong, that's how we do it. And I may get sued over it, but that's how we do it.
And I don't have a lot of ground to cover there, Carl. You're in the private sector.
That's right.
30 years in the public service sector. I've never been accustomed to that.
You're in a different ballgame though, because most people send them out to have them laundry, and y'all don't do that.
Once I issue a man
That's right.
uniform, he takes care of it.
Okay.
So
So
where's
it's
that?
different. It's different with you, but everybody else, I know, send them out to be washed, the deal we have.
I can't speak to that.
Well, it's different, apples and oranges.
I think it's Susan's example is we've had folks to leave and never turn those uniforms back in. We have to eat that cost. So to say that to say this, it's not every department, but we got to treat everybody the same. We got to cross the board. So we've got to come up with something that works for every department.
In my department, as you know, experience with the fire service judge, it just comes up with some complicated questions for me on how we operate. Not that it's out of bounds, it's just our normal daily procedure. After a while, you tear stuff up, I'm sure.
But my question, I guess, if it's worn uniform, but it's not returned, it still has to be replaced, correct?
Well, it could be, for instance, Squire, example, I hired a young man a few months ago. Now, I started him off with as much new stuff as I could. New pants, new shirt, new coat. Now, there's some things I had, like I had gun belts, holsters, magazine things. I already had that. But I try to start out with as much new stuff for a new employee as I can. And then as it wears, tears up, whatever, it's more, obviously. As I said, this room I have downstairs, my storage room, we've tried to recycle because times are hard sometimes, but patches, for instance, there's a lot of days I'll sit for an hour, cut patches off shirts so I can send them to be sewn on a new shirt. Or the brown ribbon you see here. Instead of ordering it from the company in a 4-inch section, I ordered a roll 100 foot long. So I just send it to a broader and they cut it 4-foot section, but it's just how you do things to work, make it work.
Certainly.
I guess my question was if it had to be replaced, if they didn't bring it one way or another, it's gonna have to cost, it's gonna cost a new price. So you know, we could just use that price,
But some of that stuff they bring in, Spark can't use.
Some of that stuff's different too, with like Susan. If Susan gets uniform, because I worked in a road department, I worked for both. If Susan has something and an employee comes in that's damaged, you turn around and you can give it back to that company and they replace that. If he brings something in, he's purchased that. You see what I'm saying? He's paid for it, he don't have it, somebody turned it into get a new one for. So there's your differences on some of that stuff. So.
But at the end of the day, we're still using taxpayer money to purchase these uniforms, so we just need something to be fair across the board. What's on your mind there, Pastor Kevin?
I was just wondering if any other counties had any kind of policy we could kind of follow.
I'll check into that.
We don't have any dollar amount for the past, what annually would cost us. We want you to help now.
Ms. Jenny, you'll, that's the, okay, so, county attorney, we'll just have to get more information on. So we're gonna take a 5-minute recess. I need to swap out some personnel. I'm sure you guys will be somewhere. So take a 5-minute recess. do this. Want to welcome Ms. Houchins to the court clerk position. We finished, Sherry had a funeral she had to attend. So we're going to new business and approve the payment of claims as presented. Jenny, I think you had a few things to add, but what I would like to add in this, we have approved our contracts for the EMS and fire departments. Now I'd like to approve that claim to actually write that check. That's something we have not approved yet. So I'd like for that to be added to this, to the fire departments and the EMS, all 8 fire departments in these claims, since we've already passed the resolutions or the contracts, excuse me, contracts. So Ms. Jenny, what else did you have? Nothing on claims? Okay.
That a motion, Judge?
That's a motion.
I'll
Absolutely.
second that.
Have a second? Questions? Roll call vote, please.
Dennis Sarton,
Yes.
Joey Elgin,
Yes.
Jeff Potts.
Yes.
Rick Riddle.
Yes.
Carl Dickerson.
Yes.
Jim Coomer,
Yes.
Mark Bowman,
Yes.
Michael Hale.
Yes, absolutely. Approve transfer of funds.
Motion?
Potts. Mr. Riddle, questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed, approve budget adjustment.
So moved.
Bowman,
Second.
Mr. Coomer, questions? Favor say aye. All opposed, approve monthly financial statement, December 21st.
Makes that motion.
Still audit.
I'd like to add something.
Second, we have a motion, we have a second. Treasurer?
Keep in mind that I did these at home during COVID. And so I will be double checking them to make sure. Right now, I think they're all fine, but I'll be double checking the numbers. If there's any mistakes, I will represent it next month.
So until we prove the minutes, it really. Anyway.
Correct. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, approve official settlements, December 2021, subject to audit, the county attorney, the county clerk, and the sheriff. So moved. Mr. Houchins. Supervisor Coomer, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Personnel actions.
Motion.
Potts. Second. Mr. Houchins, questions?
I had a couple. First of all, I noticed there was 15 new hires at the jail. I know it from time to time we have a lot of turnover. Does that continue, I guess?
Yes. So go home.
Okay. And then the other question I had under personal actions, it said road mechanic. I didn't think we had hired a mechanic yet.
Well, I had that question too, whenever she said that, because when this guy came to fill out his paperwork, he said he was being hired as a mechanic. So that's why that's on there.
He didn't show up.
He just didn't show.
Oh, okay.
So that money's not going anywhere.
Okay.
Guys, that situation's not gonna get any better.
No. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Okay, we're gonna skip G. Jenny, correct?
Yes.
Okay. G is not complete, so we're skipping that. Appointments, the ambulance service board have 2 reappointments. Those are Jackie Brown, Faye Neal, February the 1st, 2022, to February the 1st, 2023. That's 1 year.
So moved.
Second. All very much. Absence, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Okay, I know we have some, I'm sorry, go ahead. Which one?
She said she was going to ask.
Where's the original? We had that's right. And our adoption of today's orders, the first reading of ordinance 665, budget amendment 2. We'll need to approve that. Jenny, you can explain?
Yes, of course, I was home with COVID and didn't get to share it in time to get it put on typed up orders. And so we do have an amendment to the budget for this. Not amendment, but it is a budget amendment. That is adding funds that was not budgeted back to the budget.
Which is a good thing.
It's a good thing,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, need a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
All right, second, Riddle. Questions?
So is this like additional accounts receivable coming to us, or
Yes,
this is additional monies coming from the board?
Everything that we're not expecting. Anytime there's an amendment, that's a good thing. Remember that, if you're ever on the board, an amendment's a good thing. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. So I do want to address, I know we have some folks here that are running for office. And I'm going to say this to anyone. Obviously, and we're not endorsing anyone up here, but we have a lot of folks that are running. I'll tell any of them. Figure out what your liability and responsibility are. Those are two huge things for Barren County Fiscal Court. If anyone up here can help you all in any way to gain knowledge, because when you're out here talking to folks, we want you to give a good impression of your Barren County Fiscal Court. We do. And again, if we can help you in any way, there's a lot of knowledge sitting on this bench up here, a lot. So from Mr. Dickerson, Mr. Houchins, they're the longest serving folks that are sitting here. But there's a lot of moving parts to county government. And regardless of who's sitting here, and again, we've sat where you're sitting on the outside looking in, and it's very overwhelming once you get in. It is. Now, if anyone says it's not, then I'm sorry, they're just not doing the job. So, but again, if we can help in any way, because we don't want people to go out here in this community and misrepresent what we're doing and trying to do as a county. I can say that I take a lot of pride in it, and I'm quite confident these guys and gals up here do too. So, again, thank you all for showing up. Encourage other people to show up. This is an open public meeting. Again, good luck to you. Okay, motion to adjourn. Motion. Got a second? We are.